Nina and Nora were identical twins, which meant they looked exactly alike. They had the same smile, the same eyes, and even the same laugh. People often struggled to tell them apart. Yet, despite their striking similarities, they were deeply different on the inside. Nina was quiet, calm, and serious. She liked order, structure, and planning. She found joy in reading, cooking, and spending quiet evenings at home. Nina was happily married to James, a gentle and caring man who shared her love for a peaceful life. Together, they dreamed of building a family, filling their home with warmth and love. Nora, on the other hand, was like a wild storm. She craved adventure, excitement, and spontaneity, while Nina found comfort in stability. Nora was constantly on the move, seeking new experiences and connections. She loved meeting new people, exploring new places, and pushing boundaries. Though they shared a deep bond, their personalities sometimes clashed. Nina saw Nora as too reckless, and Nora thought Nina was too serious. Yet, no matter their differences, they always supported and accepted one another. Their bond ran deeper than surface-level appearances. Nina and James had been married for 5 years, and their relationship was one of understanding and companionship. They shared a cozy home filled with laughter and shared dreams. From evenings spent cooking together to long conversations, they supported each other through every challenge. Their dream of starting a family was something they discussed often, filled with hopes and plans for the future. However, a challenge weighed heavily on Nina's heart. She struggled to conceive. Despite James' unwavering support, Nina felt the ache of wanting a child more than anything, yet being unable to make it happen. Her sadness was softened only by James, who held her close and assured her they would find their path together. Meanwhile, Nora remained single, immersed in her adventurous lifestyle. She hadn't settled down, and her life was full of surprises, nights out, spontaneous trips, and endless stories of her experiences. Though their lives seemed polar opposites, Nina and Nora kept a close bond, offering one another advice and encouragement no matter how different their paths became. One day, when Nina received the news that Nora was moving back to town, her heart lifted with joy. It had been a long time since they lived near each other, and Nina missed her sister's laughter, her energy, and her adventurous spirit. She quickly invited Nora to stay with her and James for a few weeks until Nora found a place of her own. Nina could already imagine the late-night chats, the fun adventures they'd have together, and the bond they would rekindle. The thought of her sister under her roof again was like a missing piece of her life returning. When Nora arrived, James greeted her warmly at the door. He knew how much it meant to Nina, and seeing her smile again with her sister by her side made his heart swell with happiness. The house was soon filled with laughter, stories, and the lively energy only sisters could bring. For Nina, it felt like her home had come alive once more. The three of them spent evenings sharing stories, cooking together, and watching movies, while Nora's free spirit infused every moment with excitement. James found himself drawn to Nora's enthusiasm. Her bold, adventurous nature was refreshing, and he enjoyed spending time with her more than he expected. Yet, James began noticing a subtle shift. As the days passed, his conversations with Nora grew deeper. She had a way of seeing the world that was so different from Nina's calm demeanor. While Nina was grounded and thoughtful, Nora was free-spirited and daring. James found himself opening up more to her, talking about things he didn't share with anyone else. Her energy seemed to fill spaces that had once felt empty, and in doing so, he felt a strange comfort in her presence, a comfort he hadn't realized he was seeking. One evening, after Nina had left town for an urgent business trip, James and Nora found themselves alone in the house. Nina had stressed the importance of taking care of her sister, leaving James with the task of ensuring Nora was happy and comfortable. It was supposed to be a temporary arrangement, a simple act of kindness while Nina was away. Yet, as they sat together in the quiet, something shifted between them, a moment of connection neither had fully expected. James and Nora shared a quiet evening, talking about life, dreams, and experiences. Her adventurous tales of travel and freedom captivated him, and he found himself laughing in ways he hadn't in years. In those moments, something began to feel different. James didn't see her just as Nina's sister anymore. There was something more, something elusive yet undeniable. When Nina returned, her heart was full of excitement. She was eager to hear every detail of Nora's stay, thrilled to be reunited with both her sister and James. Yet, as she walked through the door, a sense of unease settled over her. There was a tension in the air she couldn't quite place. It was a subtle shift, but it was there. Days passed, and Nina began noticing the little things. The way James looked at Nora when he thought she wasn't watching, the lingering conversations between them, the moments where they seemed just a little too comfortable. It gnawed at her, though she tried to push it away, believing it was her overthinking. Yet deep down, she couldn't shake the feeling that something had changed, something fragile, something dangerous. The life Nina thought she had built so perfectly was starting to unravel, her trust being tested in ways she hadn't anticipated. This trip away had opened doors she hadn't expected, and the bond between James and Nora was beginning to blur the lines of what she once believed to be unbreakable. With Na gone, James and Nora found themselves sitting together late into the evening, the stillness of the house enveloping them. What began as casual conversation soon evolved into something more profound, as they shared thoughts and feelings they had never expressed so openly before. Surrounded by the quiet ambience of the living room, with only the soft glow of the lamp casting warm light, they delved deeper into their personal struggles and dreams. James broke the silence with a sigh, his gaze fixed on the floor as a trace of sadness shadowed his expression. "We've been trying for over 2 years," he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "Na wants a baby more than anything. And I do too. We've done everything possible, tried every option, but there's been no good news." Nora's heart ached at the sight of his vulnerability. She had never truly understood the depth of his pain until that moment. Feeling the weight of his sorrow, she reached out, placing her hand gently on his shoulder. "You're doing everything you can," she reassured him softly. But James shook his head, frustration evident in his eyes. "I feel like I'm letting her down," he confessed, his voice trembling slightly. "Watching her go through this every day, it breaks my heart. I just want to see her happy, and no matter how hard we try, nothing seems to work." Hearing James's raw openness struck a chord in Nora. She had seen him as a strong, stoic man, but now, in this quiet moment, she glimpsed his deepest vulnerability. They were both carrying the weight of unmet dreams, but only now were they truly sharing it. A connection blossomed between them, a quiet understanding forged in shared pain. After a pause, James spoke again, his voice tinged with hope and desperation. "Nora, I know this sounds strange, but since you and Na are identical twins, you share the same blood, the same DNA. Maybe you could carry a child for her." The words hung in the air, heavy and surprising. Nora's eyes widened in shock. "Carry a child for Na?" she asked, her voice trembling with surprise and disbelief. James nodded slowly, his expression a mixture of hope and concern. "I know it's a big request," he said softly, "but you and Na are so alike. It would mean the world to her, especially after everything we've been through. It feels like our last chance to give her the happiness she dreams of." Nora sat in stunned silence, trying to process the idea. The weight of the request felt overwhelming, far beyond what she had ever imagined discussing with James or anyone. Yet, as she gazed into his eyes, she could see his sincerity, his longing for his wife's happiness. After a long pause, she took a deep breath, her thoughts racing. "I've never considered anything like this before," she said softly. "It's a huge responsibility, a life-altering decision." Yet, as the moments passed, she began to understand just how much this could mean to Na. Her sister's longing for motherhood had been a constant source of heartache, and perhaps this could be a way to fulfill that dream. James gently held her hand, his voice steady and comforting. "I would never ask this unless I truly believed it was the only way. You're the only one who can do this. You share something so special with her. Your bond runs deeper than anyone else's." His words resonated in her mind, making her consider the weight of what they were discussing, but also the possibility of making a profound difference. Nora's heart wavered between doubt and empathy. "Think about it," James urged. "This isn't just about biology. It's about love, family, and the strength you have to offer. You could give Na the family she's been longing for, a gift that only you can truly provide." Tears welled up in her eyes as she absorbed his words. She knew the depth of his love for Na and how much this meant to him. Slowly, her fears began to soften, replaced by a growing sense of responsibility. After much thought and inner conflict, Nora gave a hesitant nod. "I'll think about it," she whispered, her voice shaking slightly. The quiet house seemed to hold its breath as they contemplated the gravity of the decision. Neither fully understood the emotional, physical, and moral challenges that lay ahead, but they were ready to take that first step. James' hopeful gaze reflected a shared understanding. This could be their path forward, even if fraught with uncertainty. As the evening stretched into the night, James continued to reassure Nora. "I love your sister more than anything," he said quietly. "This is all for her, her happiness, her dreams. You're the only one who can make that possible." His words spoke of devotion, of unwavering support for Na, and Nora found herself leaning closer to the idea. After much contemplation, Nora finally agreed. The weight of the decision was immense, but she knew deep down that her sister's happiness was worth the sacrifice. James held onto her hand, a silent expression of gratitude passing between them. The house, once filled with emptiness, began to fill with the promise of hope, a fragile hope that they both knew could change everything. They were often mistaken for one another, so much so that it became hard to distinguish between them. They both shared the same sparkling eyes, the same gentle smile, and a laugh that could illuminate even the darkest of rooms. Their voices carried the same warmth and kindness, resonating with a unique depth that made anyone who spoke with them feel at ease. However, their similarities extended far beyond their appearances. James came to realize that the bond he shared with Nora was far more intricate than he had ever imagined. When Na returned, James and Nora made a decision, a difficult yet heartfelt one. They agreed to keep everything a secret. The plan was simple. Nora would carry the child, and once her pregnancy was apparent, they would surprise Na with the joyful news. They hoped it would be a happy revelation, a way for Na to finally experience the family she had always dreamed of building. But as the days passed, uncertainty began to creep in. Nora felt a growing unease. She had never imagined that things would take such a turn. While she had promised herself to do whatever it took to help her sister, the reality of the situation felt more overwhelming than she had anticipated. What would Na think when she discovered the truth? Would she be shocked? Could she ever forgive them? Nora spent restless nights turning over these thoughts. The weight of the secret pressed heavily on her, and though she knew she couldn't keep it hidden forever, the enormity of what they had done made her heart ache. James reassured her that everything would be okay, that they would face the consequences together. But even his words couldn't fully quell the fear that gnawed at them both. They had crossed a line they never intended to, and now there was no way to turn back. Each passing day felt like a countdown, the secret growing larger and more impossible to conceal. The truth would soon surface, and when it did, there would be no knowing how it would affect everything they held dear. As Nora's pregnancy became more evident, her belly began to show, making it increasingly difficult to conceal. Every moment of their interactions with Na grew more tense, and Nora's nerves only heightened as the day approached when her sister would have to face the reality. One afternoon, Na observed her sister closely and, after a pause, asked gently, "Nora, how did you get pregnant? I thought you weren't planning on having a baby anytime soon." Nora's heart skipped a beat. She hadn't anticipated this question so soon. She had hoped she could keep the secret for a little longer. But now, the truth had been unveiled. She searched for the right words, but nothing seemed adequate. Na continued, her voice soft but curious. "I've always wanted to have a baby," Na said with a sigh. "But my husband and I have been trying for years, and it hasn't worked. We've seen doctors, undergone tests, but nothing has helped." Nora's heart sank. She knew how deeply her sister longed for a child. They had talked countless times about her dreams of building a family of her own, and James' hope for a child that would complete their life together. In that moment, Nora struggled to suppress the overwhelming guilt that consumed her. She wished more than anything she could explain everything, but she wasn't ready to face Na's reaction. How could she reveal that the child growing inside her wasn't just hers, but James'? The weight of their secret felt unbearable, but it was a burden she couldn't escape. Na smiled softly, though sadness lingered in her eyes. "I just hope it happens for me one day," she said, unaware of how her words were cutting through her sister. The silence between them deepened, growing louder with unspoken thoughts. Nora barely held back the tears that threatened to spill. She couldn't pretend any longer that everything was fine. Nora took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the truth pressing on her. She gazed at her sister, Na, who was still waiting for an answer. Finally, with trembling hands, she began to speak, her voice steady but soft. "Nina," she said, looking her sister directly in the eyes, "I need to be honest with you. I know you've been struggling to have a baby, and I've been thinking about it a lot. As twins, we share so much, not just our lives, but even our blood. When I saw how much you wanted a child and how much James wanted to start a family with you, I decided to do something for you, something I thought might help." Na's eyes widened in confusion, uncertainty flashing across her face. What do you mean?" she asked softly, her voice hesitant. Nora took a deep breath, her heart pounding. "When you weren't around, I made a decision. I went to James. I thought that maybe, just maybe, if I could carry a child for you, it might be a way to help you become a mother. I didn't know any other way to help, so I got pregnant by James." Na stared at her, disbelief washing over her. "What? You got pregnant by James? But why? How could you do this?" Her voice trembled, emotions overwhelmed by shock. Nora lowered her head, feeling the weight of her actions settle into her very being. "I did it because I love you, Na. I thought it would be the only way to help you have the child you've always dreamed of. I didn't know what else to do." For a moment, there was silence between them. Na's eyes filled with tears as she absorbed the truth. Her heart shattered, yet deep down, she understood why Nora had done it. Nora's heart ached as she gazed into Na's eyes, which held a depth of pain she had never seen before. Her voice trembled as she whispered, "I'm so sorry. I never meant to hurt you. I only wanted to help you become a mother. But now, I'm not sure how we'll move forward." To her astonishment, Na didn't react with anger or betrayal, as Nora had feared. Instead, a whirlwind of emotions surged within her: confusion, gratitude, and an overwhelming sense of relief. Slowly, a faint smile appeared on her lips as she began to grasp the reality of the situation. She was going to be a mother. Although it wasn't the path she had envisioned, the thought that her sister, her twin, had taken such a selfless step to help her filled her heart with warmth and love. "Wait, you mean I'm truly going to have a baby?" Na's voice quivered, but her eyes sparkled with a newfound hope. She recalled all the months, even years, spent praying and yearning for this moment. And now, it was finally unfolding before her, in a way she never could have imagined. Nora nodded gently, a soft yet radiant smile spreading across her face. "Yes, Na, you're going to be a mother, and I'll be by your side every step of the way. I know this wasn't how we planned it, but you deserve to experience this, and I'll always stand by you." Na's heart swelled with gratitude. The enormity of her sister's sacrifice overwhelmed her. Though this decision would change their lives forever, the joy and contentment she felt were undeniable. She was going to have a child, and that was all that mattered. "I never thought this would happen," Na whispered, mostly to herself. "But I'm so happy, so thankful that you've done this for me." As the months passed, Na's pregnancy blossomed, and her joy grew with each passing day. Nora stayed by her side through every milestone, offering unwavering support, nurturing her sister as she transformed into a radiant, expectant mother. The uncertainty that once clouded their future was replaced by a bond that deepened in ways neither had foreseen. Finally, the moment arrived. Na gave birth to a healthy baby, a beautiful little girl whose presence brought an overwhelming sense of joy and hope into their lives. The birth marked the beginning of a new chapter, the end of Na's struggles with fertility, and the beginning of an unconventional family built on love, trust, and resilience. As she cradled her daughter in her arms, tears flowed freely, but this time, they were tears of happiness, gratitude, and boundless love. James, though initially shocked by the unexpected journey their lives had taken, couldn't help but feel a deep sense of fulfillment and joy. His love for his daughter grew immensely, seeing in her the future they had longed for. Together, they built a new kind of family, one defined by acceptance, support, and the surprising ways life had unfolded for them. Nora, though not the biological mother, embraced the role of a loving aunt with compassion and care. The trio, James and Nora, navigated their new life together, healing and growing stronger as a family. They found forgiveness for the past, understanding that love, not blood, formed the bonds that truly mattered. As the years passed, Na, James, and Nora discovered the beauty of their unconventional family. Life had taken them down a path they never expected, but in doing so, they found the greatest joys, a home filled with laughter, support, and the unconditional love they shared. They raised the child with devotion, instilling in her the values of compassion, resilience, and the understanding that love comes in many forms. Through it all, they cherished the surprising journey life had gifted them, embracing the family they had created, one built on love, hope, and the strength to face whatever challenges came their way. Thank you for taking the time to watch our videos. If you find the content useful and interesting, don't forget to like, share, and especially subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any new videos. Our channel will always update attractive, inspiring, and useful content for you. Click the bell icon to receive notifications as soon as there are new videos. Your support is the biggest motivation for us to continue to develop. Thank you and see you in the next videos.